Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. Newcastle United 1, Manchester United 0. This is a live review. Joining me as always is Mr. Joe Smith. Get involved in all the comments and the chat. Joe, it's just same old really, isn't it? Manchester United, away from home, poor, gutless, heartless, hopeless is what we've got on the thumbnail. I'm struggling to find a single positive out of that game.
It's just pathetic, isn't it? The thing that's so frustrating is how predictable it is. Like this, all week I've been thinking about this game, thinking, what's it going to look like? What's this game going to be like? And that is exactly what I thought it would be like at its worst. Us essentially sitting back, letting them have all of the ball, not tracking runners. Like the thing is, when you sit back and when you defend and when you commit to it being a defensive performance or a counter-attacking performance, you have to defend then. You don't just, we sat back, so that's our job done. That's the first job. You understand how you're going to play. And the second job is to then, you still have to follow your runners. You still have to work hard. You still have to put tackles in, push people out the way, sprint. All of these things. That like, we sat back. Why didn't we defend well? Because you didn't fucking do the obvious things. The amount of untracked runs I saw in that first half, and I said it on the watch-along, all they do, and not all they do, because Newcastle did a lot of very good things and they played well, etc. But one of the big things they do is they give someone the ball and the person who gave them that ball runs in behind. Classic give and go. Obvious. And what do? We go, someone's running. Oh shit, they passed it. It's like we think that they daren't pass it in behind us. It's like so many times, Livramento, all the space in the world. Almiron non-stop. Isaac non-stop. Both sides. Like, our wingers do that kind of, look, I'm tracking back, look, oh wait, they're in behind and they're having a shot now because I wasn't really tracking back, I was pretending to look like I'm tracking back. The whole game from United was a pretend performance. Well, let's pretend to defend, let's pretend to sit back, let's pretend. It was fake. You watch that performance back, that first half in particular, is just embarrassing. It was a non-performance from Man United, pretending to do the right things and hoping Newcastle were too shit to notice, and they weren't. And they should have been 4 or 5. They should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time, conservatively Newcastle. We had 1 shot on target in the first half, 2 shots in total. Like the fact that the last 10 minutes was a competition isn't because United turned it around. It's because Newcastle have got no subs, no options off the bench, and they hadn't scored more in the first half for it to be out of sight. If it was 2-0, we wouldn't have even had a little push at the last 10 minutes. It was horrendous, that. And just predictably horrendous as well. Exactly what you were worried it could be before the game started.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with everything you've just said. It's just horrendous. So many players that went missing. Get involved in the comments and the chat. There's quite a lot of comments, as you'd expect. A lot of players getting a lot of stick, some more culpable than others. Fergal McClement says, I don't see what we're building towards. Ten Hag has been given more grace than Ole ever was on a lot less evidence as United manager. Francisco Loreno says, why do we go into half-time every game playing poor and come out with the same 11, expecting things to magically change? Time to get honest about Rashi. Lad says, discombobulate. Yeah, he was very poor today. Damien Ahipin says, it took this gutless bunch of pathetic players 90 minutes to start trying. They are a disgrace to the club. Philip Glover says, for those saying Erik ten Hag is the answer, I think he means isn't the answer. Please tell me who is. Boss says nothing up with Rashi. He's back to his usual crap self. Billy Simo, who's been a member of the academy for 9 months, says I'm just hoping McTominay is dropped when Mount is fit again. D. Susbrit 56 says lazy and gutless. Dan says, is there a world where we see Rashford sold? I don't know, maybe. Matthew Wiggins says don't even see what can change to make things better. Just on Ten Hag, we'll get to some of the players in a minute and we'll talk about Rashford and McTominay, who seems to be hot topics in the chat. Just on Ten Hag, presumably some week soon, Jim Ratcliffe's going to come in and take over the football side of things, or the sporting department or whatever. He's going to bring in, it sounds like Paul Mitchell, and maybe and there's going to be a change of CEO and as well. If you're Jim Ratcliffe, do you think that you're looking at Erik ten Hag questioning whether he's your guy?
Well, you'd have to question it because the results haven't been so overwhelming that he's definitely going to stay. Yeah. But that's because you're coming in. You have to question every part of Man United. That's his job.
All right, let me rephrase that then. Are you coming in thinking Ten Hag is not the guy for you?
No, I wouldn't come in. With Ten Hag half out the door. I wouldn't.
Right.
I think we've seen enough over the last 18 months to suggest that he can do things. He is a good manager.
Yeah.
But someone said it before in the comments or in here, I can't remember, but it did, I think it might have even been Ethan. It did feel like United came to the game today thinking, we ain't got a chance of winning this. Yeah. We cannot control this game. So what do? We have to counter-attack. We have to hope we can scrape and scrap to get either a draw or a win. Like, that mentality and then that execution is just embarrassing. And we have to get to a point where you're not going to go to every ground in the Premier League and dominate the possession, dominate the game, 3-4 goals away from home. Because we said it before, St James's Park is probably top 3 most difficult places to win a match, maybe top 4. I put City, Liverpool and Arsenal ahead, and then probably Newcastle right after that. It's really hard to win there. So you're not going to go there and have 70% possession and batter them. But this was a performance today that the players almost looked embarrassed to be there. Like, they went out going, we ain't going to do much here, and we know it, and we're pissed off that we aren't even going to get the chance to do anything. Rashford looked fuming from the first minute. Yeah, he looked mad that he was presumably been told to play a defensive game, track your man, run back. He didn't look like he wanted to. Martial, I felt sorry for him in some regard because there was no service to him whatsoever. But at the same time, he's not someone where you go, you know what, he's not had a lot of service today, but at least he's put the work in. He doesn't follow it up with anything, does he? You don't spend too long feeling sorry for him when he's jogging about the pitch. And the midfield just didn't exist. Mainu got on the ball a little bit, but again, Scott McTominay, you just look at his number of passes. At half-time, he had completed half the number of passes of Mainu and Fernandes, like each. Like, so what? So 2 of your midfielders get on the ball and pass it. One of them is getting on the ball half as often as the other 2. That can't happen.
No.
It's not, and it's not like, well, yeah, but it's quality over quantity. When he does get it, look what he's doing with it. He doesn't do anything with it. So he's just a body. And I do think that what we have to look at in times like this are the intentions of the manager as far as we can see from the outside in. We know that he was willing to let Scott McTominay go in the summer, which suggests to me he doesn't think he's the best midfielder at the club. No. So that gives me some solace when I think, right, why is he sticking with him? Well, he isn't. He is now, but he wasn't really when it mattered. He would have let him leave. Like, he also, the same with Martial. He brought in a new striker this summer, so he doesn't think he's better than Højlund or whatever. And same with Maguire. First thing he did, he brought in Martinez and played him over Maguire. So I thought Maguire was very good today, but players of this style that people get frustrated with, we know that Ten Hag isn't just in love with Scott McTominay, but it's just so hard to find positives at the minute. And so hard to, like you said, Jim Ratcliffe's coming in. What evidence do we have this season that the players are either understanding the tactics or there are any tactics? Not a lot, unfortunately. We've sort of got to go look at the history books to work out whether Ten Hag's a good manager or not. Because if you watched the last sort of 3 months, you wouldn't really think it.
No, you wouldn't.
What do you think?
I just think there's too many players now who've got into this mindset at Manchester United that just turning up and getting your money is enough. I do. I don't think there's that attitude of a real belief about winning. You can say there about how we went into this game thinking we weren't going to win. I certainly think that once we went a goal behind, the players had enough. And I know we rallied at the end, but a lot of that was because Newcastle was sitting back. And I think there should be a way at a club where if you play terribly, you get dropped. Yeah. If Rashford plays like that, he should be dropped. Martial should be dropped. McTominay should be dropped. Shouldn't be starting next week. Like, that's not how it should work. Well, you were terrible last week, but we're going to keep you in. It doesn't work like that. Other successful clubs, if you play poor for 17 games out of 19, which is probably what the ratio's been for some of these players this season, that's it. That's just, you're done for at least a month. Yeah. Look at City winning everything. Pep Guardiola does it with some of his biggest stars. Phil Foden last season fell off a bit. He dropped him for like 6 weeks. Yeah. That's Phil Foden, who had like 14 goals or something at the time. United, it's like, we just keep trying with them, keep sticking him in, or they'll come good and they'll turn it around. And they won't, and they're not doing. And it's going to end up costing him his job. It really is. Because you're looking throughout that team, and I just think there's so many players who've been here a long time. McTominay's been here a long time. Luke Shaw's been here a long time. Marcus Rashford's been here a long time. Anthony Martial's been here a long time. And what have they got to show for it? They've finished second a couple of times. Never really been in a proper title race right to the death. Never really done anything in the Champions League. And they've seen the peers winning Champions Leagues and titles and all the rest of it. And I think a lot of them are just settling now. I think they're just like, you know what? When we went 1-0 down, there were so many players who, to me, looked like they didn't have any real belief we were going to get back in the game. And I never thought I'd see that from a Manchester United team. I really didn't. And I fear for Ten Hag, I do. I think Jim Ratcliffe's got to be looking at that and thinking, this guy, he's had money, he's spent a lot of money. I know he's missing players. Mount's out, Martinez, who's a big player for Eric Ten Hag, is out as well. But he spent money on some of these players that he doesn't seem like he truly trusts, which is a little bit of a concern for me if I'm a guy who's, about to give him some of my own money to spend. And also, the players that he's inherited or that he's had here a little while, some of them look like they just don't understand what he wants them to do. Like you said it would be, you said you don't believe that he's sending him out to play like. I get that, because he can't be given a team talk going, right, what I want you to do is I want you to hoof it to a Newcastle player. Yeah. What I want you to do is I want you to pass it back to the goalkeeper.
And whatever you do, don't track your man.
Yeah, I want you to do is put your hands in your pockets and sulk. Obviously, he's not saying that. So they're either not listening to him or they are listening to him and they don't care. Either way, it's the same result. It's just not good enough. And a big trait under Eric Ten Hag has been this thing of, in the second half, away from home, we've been worse than the first half. If you look at a lot of the results under Eric Ten Hag when we've lost, the second half is when it's all fallen apart. Spurs, it fell apart in the second half. Arsenal, I think we were drawing at half-time. Today, we were drawing at half-time. Last season, we were 1-0 down at Anfield. We finished 7-0 down. Like, it keeps happening. I know City was the outlier because I think we were 4-0 down and we finished 6-3. But 9 times out of 10, away from home, when it's bad, we come out in the second half and it's worse. I'm going to go through some chats before I get your final thoughts. D-Train says, how it finishes 1-0 is beyond me. We're second to every contested ball when we get the ball and we have no idea what to do with it. Infuriating. Elliot says, we've conceded 95 shots in 5 games. Akash Solomon says, I feel for Eric Ten Hag with injuries and players simply not doing the basics. But how much longer will he last with these performances? Rough fixtures coming. This season could be a write-off before Christmas. Jibak Sahu says, when was the last time we fell behind and Eric Ten Hag changed tactics to win us the game? I haven't seen a plan B yet, and his plan A last worked in the Carabao Cup final. Give it to Mike. He says this month is going to be a bloodbath. Billy Simo has been a member of the academy for 90 months. Says, I just hope McTominay's dropped when Mount is fit again. Damien Aheen says it took this gustless, but oh, sorry, I've read that one. Owen Thompson says, truth is, guys, these players played well last season because they feared being sold by new owners. Glazers say so they can down tools.
I don't think that's it, to be honest. I don't think they're playing because they think they're going to get sold. Because half of them know they can't get fucking sold anyway.
Yeah.
Because they're on twice as much as anyone else would pay for them. So why would they leave?
James Stewart says, they look like a team. We look like strangers.
Yeah,
Glenn F17 says, Maguire is the problem. And the fact we can't hold a high line is so effing obvious. Tiger UK says Rashford needs to go. Dave Banfield says the worst United I've seen for years. Ten Hag is clueless. NSG International says where's the Manchester United youngsters?
We had 3 of them start the game. Fucking hell.
I know. I don't.
It's not. That's not it, is it?
Ben Lan says Eric Ten Hag ball.
4 of them started the game. Sorry.
Sorry, no, go on.
Garnacho, McTominay, Rashford, and Mainu started. They're all from the academy, so that's not the problem, is it?
Someone mentioning as well about the service that Martial's getting. I understand that, but I don't think he played well either way. It's just I thought everyone was poor, to be honest with you. I thought Maguire did well in spells, but other than that, it wasn't a good performance. Bruno maybe was all right. Thomas Simpson says massive questions for Eric Ten Hag to answer. Hardly a good 10 minutes this season. Impossible to tell what we're training for in the week. Very worrying. Also, Martian says, we won't win a major trophy until the team learns how to deal with pressure. Too much panicking from everyone except Shaw and Mainu. Well done, Martian, as well, for your 20th super chat on a live stream. Joe, I'll let you have the final word. Where do we go from here?
The faster we can get players back from injury, the better. I think the fact that 2 of the starting 3 from last season in midfield being missing is a big problem.
Yeah.
Martinez being missing is a big problem. But like people are saying in the chat there, tracking your man is basic. It should be not just basic, it should be an instinct for a football player. If you're a midfielder or a defender, tracking your man should be instinctive. Not, well, I had to put the effort in and track my man. You should do that without thinking. You know, winning balls, contesting for things, getting your body in the way. These are like... this is what I find myself saying every time we go through these spells. These are under 10s Sunday league principles. Yeah. These aren't high level things. If they're running faster than you and they put their body in the way of the ball, you can't get it. And we go, like fucking Gordon. What is he, 5'8", and he weighs about 6 stone, and he's pushing people off the pitch because he's trying and he's working harder and he's sprinting when we're jogging. Those are simple things. Those are the actions of people who are pissed off or feel like they ain't got a chance. And that's my biggest worry with Ten Hag. Isn't that he ain't got tactics, because he has. He hasn't got this far as a manager without having tactics. Because fuck me, he won back-to-back Eredivisie. He got to the semi-final of the Champions League. He's not clueless.
Yeah.
But the fact that the players seem to be fuming from minute one at the minute, they look annoyed, they look deflated. That's my biggest worry with him. Are things not great behind the scenes? But let's get the full squad back first, and then we can assess things. It would be a shame to throw a manager under a bus with, big players out, but it's just shocking at the minute, and just got to hope it gets better.
I think he's in serious trouble if we lose to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I'm not trying to be dismissive, or I like Ten Hag, I think he's the right guy, but I genuinely think if we lose at home to Chelsea, I know it's a big if, and that's your 11th defeat this season by my maths.
Yeah,
you're in trouble.
Well, I said this a couple months ago when we were going through that first dodgy spell.
Yeah,
I said what I can see happening is we ride out this spell, people stick by the manager, we have an upturn in form,
which is happened.
Few wins, things look back on track. Oh no, we're not that far off top four. And then over winter, when the big games come and we start playing difficult games again, we'll have a second dip and he'll get sacked. That was my prediction about 2 months ago. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but like you said, you can't just never win against good teams. And so far this season, look back over every game, we haven't beaten a good team once.
No.
And that is not something you can carry on forever. I do think he'll turn it around, get players back from injury, etc. But you can't just never beat anyone if they're any good. That's just not a thing.
I think just before we wrap up, Joe, you've got some quotes there. Give us some of the quotes.
Yeah, he says at halftime, we said we were pleased because it was 0-0. We have to stay in the game, but we didn't. I mean, he cannot. I don't.
That quote is brought to you via David Moyes.
Yeah.
Nick Collins says, not sure if you've seen this stat. Mainoo made more attempted completed passes. Why did Eric bring him off? Amrabat instead of McTominay, I don't know. David Taylor as well, welcome to the academy. Thank you for your support.
These quotes read like...
Go on, read them out. Go on, just before we wrap up. Go
on. Ten Hag saying, I will talk with my team on the performance. So let's take that as there was plenty I wasn't happy with. We stayed in the game at the end. We had some good chances. We scored a goal, but it was offside, so it could have been a draw. I mean, there's optimistic and then there's borderline, what's the word? Out of touch with reality, isn't there? But again, I will talk with my team on performance. Let's hope he's just covering up the cracks there and just, trying to be optimistic. But it doesn't read particularly. It's slightly embarrassing.
You don't need to talk with him. He needs to ring the changes, man.
Yeah.
You need to make some drastic changes with your team, Eric, because these lot, they're going to get you sacked.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to leave it there. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. We'll be getting the reaction from Andy Tate and Stephen Housen a little bit later on. Plus tomorrow you'll have Gazetta with Adam McCauley. He'll be going through all the back pages. No doubt everyone's got something to say about that performance and result for Eric Ten Hag, who is, in my opinion, under a lot of pressure. See you on the next one.